Remember these non-uplets? This is how they look after 4 years. It all began in 2021 in the ancient sands of Timbuktu, Mali. A young woman named Ali, only 25 years old, was living what she thought would be an ordinary life until she noticed her pregnancy wasn't like anything she had ever heard of. From the first few months, Al-Lima could feel it deep inside. Something was different. Something extraordinary was growing within her. Local doctors, relying on basic ultrasound equipment, first believed she was expecting twins, then triplets, then more. But no one could truly predict what was coming. As Alima's belly grew, so did the mystery. Fearing complications and realizing Mali's limited medical resources couldn't support such a rare and complex pregnancy, the government made a historic decision to send Al Lima to Morocco to the prestigious Ain Borja clinic in Casablanca. At the airport, Al Lima clutched her husband's hand tightly. Abdelkader Harvey, a dedicated Malian army officer, stood tall, but his heart was heavy with worry. He whispered to her, "No matter what happens, you are never alone." On May 4th, 2021, history was made. Through a risky cesarean section, Al Lima gave birth to 9 babies, 5 girls and 4 boys. Adama, Umu, Hawa, Khadija, Fatima, Umar, Elch, Ba, and Muhammad. The delivery room held its breath. Would they survive? The odds were against them. Non-Huplets, 9 babies born at once, are so rare that even in the most advanced countries, survival is nearly impossible. Yet, defying every expectation, all 9 babies lived. Tiny, fragile, no bigger than a human hand. They were rushed into incubators. Tubes connected them to life. Al Lima, meanwhile, fought her own battle in intensive care. For days, her condition teetered between life and death, but she clung on, her thoughts repeating one prayer: "Let me live to hold them all just once." For the next 18 months, the hospital became their home. Abdelkar, torn between his duty to his country and to his new family, received special leave to stay by Al Lima's side. He learned how to change diapers, how to feed through tiny tubes, how to calm the endless alarms of the NICU. In the quiet moments when the machines beeped softly and the nurses took brief breaks, Abdelkader would sit beside Al Lima's hospital bed, holding her hand. He would tell her stories of Timbuktu's golden past of sand dunes and starry skies, promising that one day they would walk the desert with their 9 little miracles by their side. The world could hardly believe it. News channels from America to Japan shared their story. For a time, the world seemed to pause in admiration for the young Mayan couple whose courage, faith, and resilience inspired millions. The Mayan government covered all medical expenses, proudly calling the babies a national treasure. Despite the global attention, Al Lima and Abdelka remained humble. "We didn't ask for fame," Abdelka said once in an interview. "We only prayed for life." In December 2022, after a year and a half of fierce battles fought with love, science, and prayer, the doctors finally gave the green light. The babies were strong enough to return to Mali. The news sparked a wave of joy. At Bamako's international airport, crowds gathered waving Malian flags, singing and dancing. When Al Lima and Abdelkar stepped off the plane carrying their precious cargo, it felt like welcoming home national heroes. The government provided them with a special large house designed with nurseries, medical care rooms, and play areas. Everything was ready, except nothing could truly prepare anyone for raising 9 babies at once. Feeding 9 babies is not a task. It's a military operation. Bottles lined the kitchen counters like soldiers in formation. Diapers were bought in crates. Sleep became a distant memory. Even with a team of dedicated nannies and medical assistants, Al Lima and Abdelkader insisted on being present for every major moment. First smiles, first laughs, first teeth. Nothing could tear them away. One night, during a particularly chaotic evening of feeding, 3 babies cried at once. 2 needed changing and the others were restless. Overwhelmed, Al Lima burst into tears. Abdelkader scooped her up in his arms, saying with a smile, "If we can survive this, my love, we can survive anything." That became their family motto. We can survive anything. As months passed, the tiny, fragile beings grew stronger. By the end of 2023, the house was no longer filled with just cry, but with the sound of little footsteps. The non-oplets had started to walk. Their personalities were beginning to shine through, and their home was alive with laughter, shrieks, and endless mischief. But this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their extraordinary journey. By early 2024, the once fragile babies were energetic little explorers, each filling the house with unstoppable life. Every corner became a playground, every stairway a mountain to climb. Alima and Abdelka often sat back, exhausted but smiling, watching their living miracles chase each other around the house like a swarm of busy bees. Each of the 9 children had developed a unique personality. Adama, the firstborn, was the undeniable leader. Always a few steps ahead, she loved to invent games and lead her brothers and sisters in grand adventures through the backyard. When something went wrong, it was usually Adama who had the solution. Umu was the observer, a little artist at heart. She could sit for hours drawing colorful shapes or quietly building tiny houses out of blocks. Her calm presence was often the anchor when the others became too wild. Hoa, sweet and sensitive, had a gift for sensing when someone needed a hug or a kind word. If one of the babies fell and cried, Hoa was always the first to run over and gently wipe away the tears. Khadija was the explorer. With endless curiosity, she dismantled toys just to understand how they worked. One morning, she managed to unscrew the legs off a chair before anyone noticed, just to see how it was holding up. Fatuma was the clown of the family, always ready to burst into a silly dance or invent a funny nickname for everyone. Her laughter was contagious, echoing through the house like sunshine on a rainy day. Umar, serious beyond his years, acted like a little guardian. Every night he insisted on checking that all his siblings were safely tucked into bed, sometimes falling asleep himself on the floor halfway through his rounds. LG was the dreamer, often found gazing out the window. He loved watching birds and tracing airplanes across the sky with his finger, whispering that someday he too would fly. Ba was the unstoppable energy source, climbing, running, tumbling, laughing. He moved so fast it was a wonder anyone could catch him. A football in his hands and Bar could play for hours without tiring. Muhammad, the smallest at birth, became the most affectionate, always searching for a lap to sit on, a hand to hold, a song to hum along with. Muhammad had a heart that seemed too big for his tiny body. Life was beautiful, chaotic, and above all, real. The family's daily routine ran like a carefully choreographed performance. Wake up, breakfast, playtime, lessons, lunch, nap time, play again, dinner, baths, bedtime stories. No 2 days were ever the same. And yet somehow the Harvey family found their rhythm. In late 2024, it was time for another milestone. The 9 toddlers were enrolled together in a private kindergarten in Bamako. The school, overwhelmed at first by the idea of 9 students from the same family, eventually agreed to create a special class just for them. Teachers quickly discovered that these children weren't just a curiosity. They were smart, eager to learn, and incredibly bonded. Their first day of school was a spectacle. Cameras clicked, reporters whispered. But Al-Lima and Abdelkata stood protectively behind their children, gently guiding them inside. Despite the attention, they had made a decision long ago. Their children would be raised humbly, taught to value kindness over fame, effort over entitlement. At school, their personalities continued to blossom. Adama loved leading group activities. Umu quickly became the teacher's helper with her careful, patient nature. Hoa won everyone's heart with her gentleness. Khadija amazed her teachers by solving puzzles meant for older students. Fatuma turned every story session into a comedy show. Umar showed natural leadership skills during group games. Elle's drawings were proudly displayed on the classroom walls. Ba sprinted across every playground, winning every race. Muhammad sang the loudest during music class, his little voice pure and joyful. At home, Al-Lima and Abdelka remained the pillars holding it all together. Even though they now had a few full-time nannies and teachers to help, they made sure every evening ended the same way. Gathered together on the living room carpet, reading stories, singing songs, sharing dreams. Sometimes late at night, when the children finally slept and the house grew quiet, Al-Lima would walk from room to room watching her sleeping miracles. She would pause, hand resting lightly on the doorframe, heart swelling with a love so deep it sometimes brought tears to her eyes. Abdelk, seeing her, would wrap his arms around her and whisper, "We prayed for life, and look at them. Look at what we were given." By April 2025, the non-Uplets were thriving, almost 4 years old. They spoke fluent Bambara and were learning French, reciting their first words and phrases with bright smiles. Health-wise, they were strong, though a few continued to have periodic medical checkups to ensure their growth stayed on track. The Malin government continued supporting them while also helping set up a special education fund that would cover their schooling through university. Yet, despite the support, Alima and Abdelka knew the most important lessons their children would learn wouldn't come from books. They would come from seeing how their parents fought for them, stood by them, loved them without limits. The world, too, continued to watch with amazement and affection. What had started as a fragile miracle in a distant hospital had blossomed into a living testament of courage, hope, and unwavering love. As each child grew into their own person, one a dreamer, another a leader, another a healer, the Harvey family's journey stood as a quiet reminder to the world. Even in the most unexpected of circumstances, even when the road ahead seems impossible, love can create a future more beautiful than anyone could have ever imagined. And for Al Lima and Abdelka, every day, every hug, every first word was not just a memory, it was a miracle multiplied by 9. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.